The Solitaire series, episode 38, The Two of Clubs, by Troy Lambert, narrated by Troy Lambert. Carl knocked and heard barking on the other side of the door, the frantic barking of a watchdog guarding something valuable. He knocked again, and it descended into growling. He felt eyes on him, and he gripped the card in his pocket tightly. This would not be a simple thing after all. He would pay for his freedom if he were able to execute this mission. He wondered who he would be on the other side, and what he would look like. It was a second chance, a new life. The door opened, and he moved a step forward, but he was grabbed and pulled inside. He stumbled and caught himself. "Who the fuck are you?" a man asked. "Are you Joseph?" "Yes." "I'm Carl, here for surgery. Where's your card?" "My card?" He pulled the Queen of Hearts from his pocket and handed it over. The man looked at the front and back. "Okay, a nurse will take you back to get prepped. The doc is in another procedure at the moment, but you must be next on the schedule." "You work here?" "Not exactly. You could say I'm a bodyguard of sorts." "I see." Carl did not see or understand. He looked around. A tall, frightened man stood to one side, and two large men stood on either side of him. His hand was bleeding, and he held a crimson cloth against it. A dog, apparently the source of the barking, sat near them, but did not even look at Carl. His eyes were fixed on the door, and he growled, low and deep. Carl's eyes met those of the injured man, who stared back and shook his head. Shook his head at what? Carl did not know whether or not he was doing the right thing. The man, Joseph, moved towards a phone on the counter and spoke into it. A moment later, a nurse appeared. "Right this way," she said. "You must be Carl." "Yes," he said, and then heard the door bang open behind him. The nurse's mouth opened in an O, and he turned to look. A rather large African-American man stood supporting a much thinner, smaller man. Half the skin was missing from the smaller man's face. His teeth showed through a gap there, and blood dripped from the wound. "What the hell?" Joseph asked. "This man has been shot and needs help," the large man said. "Does this look like an ER to you?" Joseph asked. "He won't make it to an ER." The dog barked, two sharp, short barks, then growled. "Quiet, goddammit," Joseph said. "Look, I don't know who you are, but you need to get him out of here." "Oh, I will," the large man replied, "as soon as you help him." "Help him?" Carl looked past Joseph to the tall man with the injured hand. He had a look of recognition on his face and something else. He'd been afraid before. Now he was terrified. "Yeah," the big guy said. "Help him and help us too." He literally dropped the little man with the ruined face, who promptly fell to the floor in a heap. The door, not fully shut, banged open again, and two more people joined the now crowded waiting room. Carl grabbed the nurse and pushed her down the hall towards the back of whatever this was, some kind of clinic, he assumed. She resisted, at first, so he shoved, steering her backwards. She must have seen something behind her that convinced her to follow his lead, and she ran ahead, now pulling him into a side room. He looked around the door jamb and saw a classic standoff. The two new arrivals, a woman and another black man, this one wearing a Las Vegas Raiders sweatshirt, were both armed, weapons outstretched, pointing at Joseph and the two men behind him. They also had weapons drawn, pointing at the new arrivals. The dog crouched low and growled, perhaps the most dangerous weapon in the room. Carl knew the look. The gorgeous Doberman was watching, waiting for an opening, an opportunity to do his job and protect whoever his master was. "We're here to see Jack," the woman said. She looked oddly familiar to him. In fact, all of them looked vaguely familiar. They weren't people he'd collected from. Gambled with? Seen in solitaire circles? Unlikely, as he'd only met a few inside the organization. When he'd left his meeting with Nancy about this assignment, he thought he'd never been more afraid in his life. But he had been wrong. That moment was now. The tension in the air was palpable. "Jack is indisposed," Joseph said, oddly calm. "You can't see him now." The dog growled deeper at the name Jack. "What business do you have with him?" "He has something we want." What would that be? A card, like those. The man with the woman remained silent, but he looked scared. There was a tremble in her voice. She was scared too, and unless Carl missed his bet, she spoke on behalf of someone else. He wondered who would fire first. He didn't have to wait long to find out. The world slowed to molasses, and if it hadn't, Carl would have died. The man on the floor groaned, and as he rolled over, Carl watched the hole in the side of his face, through which he could see his teeth, as his tongue worked as if he were trying to say something. His hand came around, revealing a knife, and he slashed weakly at the leg of the large man next to him, causing him to glance down. "Don't!" the man with the injured hand shouted. One man behind Joseph fired. The linebacker-looking guy spun, a hole appearing in his shoulder, but firing the first shot turned out to be a bad idea for the apparent guards. The Raiders fan fired next, and the first man to fire was the first to die when the top of his head disappeared and he fell instantly. His partner wasn't far behind, his face exploding a mere second after the woman fired. Law enforcement, Carl thought from her stance, but that couldn't be. He recognized her now, but the last time he'd seen her, she'd been a redhead. Now she was blonde with dark eyebrows, but her face had hardened when the bullets started flying. Only the discipline of training gave someone that. The dog barked, and when the sweatshirt-wearing man turned the weapon toward it, the dog shot forward like a bullet and grabbed his calf, causing the man to drop his pistol and scream. But the dog spun around him, and before anyone could react, darted down the hall toward Carl and the nurse. A bullet whizzed by his head and embedded itself into the wall. The dog growled as he ran by, but stopped at the door at the end of the hallway, spun, and sat, fully alert. Jack had to be in there. This had to be his dog. A deeper fear crawled from Carl's soul into his guts. There was no way he could kill Jack, which meant... Another shot sounded, and he turned back to watch the people in the front lobby. The woman, Joseph, and the man with the bloody hand all stood looking at each other. The Raiders fan lay on the ground, attempting to grip his torn calf. There was a lot of blood, but Carl thought he would live. The man with the ruined face lay perfectly still. Carl didn't know if he was alive or not. The black linebacker-looking dude had made his way to one knee, gripping his arm, but Joseph had moved closer to him, his foot resting on his pistol. "Just fucking pause for one goddamn minute," he said. "I think we're all on the same side here, or at least most of us are, and it seems like we want the same thing." "Why should we believe you?" the woman said, her pistol pointing at him without wavering. "Because while I don't know who the rest of these people are, except maybe you, Raiders fan," he said, indicating the dog bite victim, "and you, Cynthia, or should I call you Janice, or does it even matter at this point?" "You're right, it doesn't matter," she said. "And you are?" "Joseph," he said. "I'm kind of an outsider, but I have known Jack a long time, and I knew his father. You're Bert, right?" Yes," the bitten man managed. "Well, I'm afraid this is not the clinic you and your injured friends need, but I can get you to a clinic like that. And as to what we all seem to be looking for, the thing that Jack has, the card..." "Yes?" "There's not just one. There's a deck. People have been looking for it for years." "It's the key to a code, right?" Cynthia asked. "Maybe. I could tell you what I know. You could share your knowledge with me. We could compare notes." "I have a feeling you're way ahead of me on this one," Cynthia said. "Why would you tell me anything?" "If these recent events have shown me anything," Joseph said with a chuckle, "it's that I'm not the only one looking for this deck. What Jack has is just a piece. Another gentleman, Pick, had another piece, as did the son of a guy named Specialist Peabody. I think the cards they have, put together, will lead us to the master deck." "If the deck is a code, how do we decode it?" she asked. "Well, for that, I think we have an ace up our sleeve." "You mean literally?" "Nope, figuratively. You've met him, I would imagine." "I work for him," the linebacker said. "If it's who you think it is, I'm Frederick." "Yes, and I'm telling you, we need to all work together. There's a party in 2 weeks, a party at Ace's house, put together by his wife Dahlia, who knows way more than you think she does. Everyone who is someone in Blackjack will be there, as well as several key members of Solitaire. That's our chance, if we have everything we need by then. We won't be healed and ready for a party in 2 weeks, Bert said, followed by a groan. Especially now. You might be surprised what we can do, and what I can organize, Joseph said. How will we get into the party? The man with the dog-bitten hand broke his silence and asked. I can help with that, Bert and Frederick said at the same time. Then, from behind him, Carl heard a click. A man, his face and right side covered in bandages, and dragging an IV tree behind him, emerged. This had to be Jack. The nurse ran to his side, and he tried to brush her away. She grabbed his elbow, helping him on one side. Give me a hand, she said. Carl obeyed and moved to Jack's other side. The dog, Boris, stayed close to all of them. Thanks, the man mumbled, and they moved with him to the lobby. Everyone looked at them at the same time. I think I can help you all with exactly what you want, Jack managed. And you're right, Joseph. We all need to work together. So if you'll listen, I've got a proposal for you. From behind them, another voice sounded. Oh dear, oh mercy, this should not be happening, the voice said. The nurse turned barely, but it was Joseph who said, Dr. Larry? Oh yes, Jack, we must get you back to bed. The rest of you can follow if you... Oh my. Yes, we have a few more patients in need, Joseph said. Perhaps you can call someone for us? Right away, the doctor said, but that one, can you check if he's still breathing, ma'am? He said, pointing at the prone man with the ruined face. Cynthia knelt to check. He is. I'll take care of him. Now, Jack, back to your room. The rest of you, you have 10 minutes, and then I'll be kicking you out. Well, we better make the most of our time, Jack said weakly. Carl helped the nurse help him back to the room, and Joseph, Alec, Bert, and Cynthia, in various states of injury and confusion, followed. From behind them, he heard the doctor speaking quietly into a phone. So much for his surgery and the plan to kill Jack, but this might be an even better ticket to freedom. Carl dared to do something he hadn't in quite some time. Hope. Thanks for listening to the Solitaire series, episode 38, The Two of Clubs. Next up, episode 39, The Eight of Hearts.